Thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the Kirklees Guitar School podcast. I'm joined with my co-host, Mr. George Liveridge. How are you doing, George?
I'm very well, James. We're also joined with an audience because it is the KGS live event.
Amazing. So we've put on a live event on Saturday, the 8th of November, which we've been banging on about for ages.
We have since August.
Since August, and it's come around already, believe it or not. So yeah, we're super duper excited, and thank you very much to everybody who came out today and watched us. So what's on the agenda for today, Josh?
Well, before that, got to ask you, James, has this week been a rock or a roll?
Well, okay. So it's been a rock. We've been up to loads of stuff here at the school. We've been back end of the year is a really busy time for us. Obviously, start of the academic year in September. So we get an influx of new people that want to come and learn guitar, which is awesome. And then we start doing like gigs for our bonfire night. Obviously, we've had the podcast. We've got something coming out next week, which is super duper exciting. That's taken up a lot of my time this year, and then obviously getting ready for Christmas.
It's going to be around the corner,
doing gigs and stuff. So we did a gig last night, didn't we?
We did. Yes.
So occasionally we get asked to play for the as the Kirklees Guitar School staff band, which is pretty cool. We get a chance to sort of stretch his legs a little bit, and also we don't get to spend that much time together anymore. So it's really nice to share the bandstand and
playing together
backwards
live,
and forwards. So last night was interesting, wasn't it? Why was it interesting?
Well, it was wet. Very wet. It was an outdoor gig in November in the rain. So it was a rock for me because we played all these notes far too quickly, too loud, that sort of thing, cracking drums, incredible vocals. But we were playing under a gazebo, which was great. We thought, fantastic. But there were two gazebos that joined in the middle. And as we were playing, I kept getting a very wet shoulder and a very wet headstock and a very wet pedal, which now only half works after yesterday. So it was a rock for that respect, but potentially a roll for the pedal dying. You've got a slight roll as well. I don't know if you want to share it or if you're dealing with the pain from it. Your gear's fine.
Yeah, my gear's fine. Right, okay. So, you know the old adage of musician has £5,000 worth of gear that they put in a 500 quid car to do a 50 quid gig?
Sounds about right, yeah.
So we packed up last night. You guys all went home.
Yeah, I was gone home.
Literally the last piece of equipment I was going to put in the van and leave. I opened the door of the van while I'm talking to somebody, and the door comes off in my hand. I'm at a very, very posh private school that I'm very, very keen to keep the contract of. Surrounded by parents holding a Land Rover door.
Nice.
What do I do in that scenario? I rugby tackle it back into the door, shrug it off and drive home. And it's still there. And I'm just going to, if I don't acknowledge it, it'll fix itself.
Yeah, I got a very sort of Basil Fawlty voice message from you saying, right, fine, that's it. But yeah, it's
I
still
genuinely
there.
couldn't believe it. So it's working somewhat, but I can only use 3 of the 4 doors. So yeah, but the gig went really well.
It did. The gig for one rehearsal, we did really well.
Yeah, we did really well, and it was really good to play on stage with us. So, on to more positive things, George. What's on the agenda for today's podcast?
Okay, so for this week, we're going neck deep for the whole show. We're going with the scenario, if you were a student with us at Kirklees Guitar School, you want to learn how to improvise, this is our 8-week plan. Week 1, you can't do any improv. What's a scale? What's an improv? By week 8, you're sort of Gary Moore, B.B. King. That's what we're aiming for, isn't it?
Okay, so for those of us that are watching that this is all quite new to, what do we mean about improv? What does improv mean?
It's such the way I describe it to students is you make it up as you go along, but you have your head crammed with things that you know what to do.
But I come to you for lessons. You're supposed to tell me what to do.
That's the one. You learn. You take. We talk about the toolkit a lot. The guitar player's toolkit. You open your toolbox and you go, right, I'm going to use this and this and this, and there's an extension. Weird analogy number 64 or whatever.
Right, okay.
That's what improv is. You take a set of skills and you apply it in different scenarios. I think that's a roundabout way to get
and when
into
you see somebody who steps to the front of the stage and you're watching the live coverage of Glastonbury or whatever, they step to the front of the stage and they're skidding on the knees and they're doing all that sort of stuff. 9 times out of 10, that solo that they're playing is made up on the spot. So when somebody comes into the studio for lessons and says, I want to learn how to do that, you go, well, just make it up.
And then you say, £20, please.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
That's it.
Well, there's a bit more now, isn't it? But yeah, it's how can we've sort of put heads together, and it's kind of like, right, if somebody landed on Earth today and knows nothing about improvising and is very, very new to the guitar, right through to somebody who's a couple of steps into this process, how can we How would we guide you at Kirklees Guitar School to get that? So we've structured it into 8 weeks. Strictly, how long's a piece of string?
Exactly. It might take you less. If you're already along, it might take you more. It really doesn't matter.
If we could teach you how to solo light slash in 8 weeks, we'd charge a lot more money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have a door that falls off, put it that way.
Yeah. And this is kind of under the sort of pretense of this is all a student's working on for 8 total hours of tuition. So
Week 1.
Week 1. What? I'll back that to you. What do we start with in week 1?
We need to learn a scale.
Right.
With it may be a bit archaic and a bit medieval, all scales, but actually get it learnt, and this is going to get you going on the way there. So with my students, I introduce the A-blue scale. Okay. You've got a slightly different school of thought, but I introduce the A-blue scale. The scale in question, just go through it, sounds like this. Learn those notes, and you've got the keys to the city.
Okay, I'd agree that I'd maybe go minor pentatonic instead.
Okay.
But it's
you sticking in A?
Yeah, it was sticking in A. But what I'd do is I teach the student how to play that scale, and then I would get them and encourage them to play it with a backing track, just going up and down the scale. Now that sounds like really, really basic, but actually when you're trying to play something over something else that's not doing what you're trying to do, it's really disorientating. So could you give me a shuffle in A, please?
So yeah, we've all done it, those watching at home. You play on your own, it sounds great. You try and put some music on and it all goes wrong. Yeah. And this is that conditioning, it's the serious practice.
And it's that kind of, it's not marrying up exactly with what it's supposed to do. It's really disorientating.
You're going to go through that scale then?
Yeah. So I just get the student just to play through the scale. Now, the thought process behind this, thank you. I'd do it forwards and backwards, but I'd get the student to play this forwards and backwards, and the thought process of it is getting them to play without anything in the back, without anything to latch onto, and they're completely in charge, okay? And it's really disorientating for the student. It's kind of like you could play. I was playing on the beat there.
Yeah. Double it up.
You could go even slower if you needed to do. There's no rules, and that's the really difficult thing for students to get. So then I'd encourage them to spend the next week just going forwards and backwards through the scale.
It's till you know it inside and out. You don't need the diagram or the tab anymore. You can just go up and down as we have been.
Okay.
So that's week 1.
Week 2, I'd then encourage a student, assuming that they've done what I've asked them to do across the week, I'd ask them to then try and break the scale up into little phrases. We've learnt the alphabet, but now we need to learn the words. Now, when you look at the 27 letters in the alphabet and you put CAT together and it's cat, or you put guitar, which I said in the previous podcast was 5 letters. It's actually 6, I think, isn't it? Anyway, but I want us to start using those notes. Almost think of them as, another way to think of them is colours on an artist's palette.
Okay, yeah, I like
and
that.
You're starting to make little phrases out of that.
So you're putting blue and yellow together.
Yeah, seeing what it does. And thinking in little chunks of 2 and 3 notes.
That's the one.
So that sounds more like music then rather than just an exercise. So if I give you a shuffle, Josh, could you show us something of that sort of what we're talking about?
So if I'm going through that scale, think. Oh, I doubled up there. But I'm still using the order of the scale. Or you could go from one end to the other. So if you're still not comfortable, you can sort of start at the top and work your way down to the bottom, but I think the more scholastic approach would be to pick notes at random, start at the top, go to the bottom, go in the middle.
Scholastic?
Yeah.
That's a big word for a Friday night. What does that mean?
Saturday night.
Saturday night,
I think.
even worse.
It's usually a Thursday morning.
I'm still thinking about my door, George. Anyway, right, so...
That's week 2, randomising it. I've done this with students before. I'll say, right, make it up, press shuffle on those notes. And they go, have you gone mad? Yeah. Like, you've given them this structure, but now mess it up, but that's going to help towards week 3.
Week 3 is learning a lick. So a lick is a collection of notes, and it's kind of something you keep in your back pocket. When somebody goes, oh, you've played guitar for so long, play something cool. You can play... Be a little lick, or...
I think we did this in season 1, a lick versus a riff.
Yes.
I think a riff is That's a riff, whereas a lick is something
a little bit more throwaway and a little bit more kind of off the cuff. Maybe not as memorable, let's say. So how would we incorporate a lick in the third week?
So the third week, we're going to get the backing track back on again. Well, first of all, we need to learn that. Now, I will usually give the student said lick to look at. One I like to go for is Angus Young kind of thing, or we'll look at techniques a few weeks down the line, but Chuck Berry kind of.
That's my go-to.
Okay, yeah.
That one.
But
so for everybody at home, I'm sliding from the 4th fret of the B and the high E string. I'm picking both those strings and sliding into that 5th fret to get that with an in-tune guitar.
Yeah, in-tune always helps.
Okay.
So that we'll look at that. I'll give them the tab and say, right, here's I've got a sheet. I've got 5 licks in A, and they all sort of steal from rock and roll over the years and riffs I've come up with and licks. From there, you want to get it to that shuffle. And if I play that shuffle, can you put a couple of them in to see how it would look? That is improv.
You busted messing with my flow. I was enjoying that.
Sorry, we'll get onto it later. You can do a bit more.
So it's planned vocabulary when you start to run out of ideas, or it's ways to sort of connect the dots.
Yes, definitely.
And a good way to get a student to truly improvise, but kind of give them a little sort of safe spot either side.
It's like a template, isn't it? It's your sort of recipe book, if you like. You can start, because from there, if you're playing that riff there, you might put other things in. The creative juices will start to flow. It's inevitable.
So I'm seeing you're starting to kind of drip feed some sort of extracurricular
other techniques and other positions,
which takes us into his 4th week.
Yes, definitely.
So can I back that one to you?
So techniques. I've had a few students who can play the scale. Albatross, I think a lot of us in the audience, in the community, have played Albatross. There's some big bends in there. And they go, you can play a scale, and it comes to a bend, and it's not happening. So techniques, what we're going to look at? Well, a few hallmark ones. You get hammer-ons. Do it the other way around, you get a pull-off. So what am I doing there? Starting in A, starting on the 5th fret of the D string. And what you want to do is give that a really good pick and bash your ring finger. I think it was episode 1, series 1, hammer-ons. And then vice versa, pull-off. It's the other way around.
It's like buy one, get one free notes. You pick it once and you
pick
get
it once
two,
you get 2 notes. The hallmark of a really good pull-off is to have a solid foundation, and that foundation is your first finger. Because if you pull off and your finger's not there, it needs something. So you've got hammer-ons, pull-offs, bends, of course. We've looked before at the whole idea, if you're doing a whole step bend, we're moving that note up by 2 frets. So if I play that pitch, I want to be able to hear that pitch rather than, can you hear that flat? That's, rather than, a lot of people go too far as well. Double stops is another one I like.
So taking that then, let's say that we've sort of added bends. Vibrato is another massive one that we can talk about. I sort of affectionately call it giving it a wobble, take a note.
The rapid shaking of a note by dictionary definition.
Gear shake, Bending notes. If you implement some of those techniques into what we've learned in the prior 3 weeks, all of a sudden it starts to sound like music, and it starts to sound more like what you
even if you take that random exercise, if you were going, well, if I put some, it's the same notes, but all of a sudden with the right notes in, but you can hear all of a sudden that could be B.B. King sat on his porch in his rocking chair if he was still with us, that sort of thing.
Okay, so then moving on. So let's say we've got through the first month of improvising.
You're getting the hang of it now, I think.
And you're starting to go, do you know what, this A minor thing's really kind of working for me.
And we go,
and then we go,
turn it upside down.
Yeah, okay, now play it all the way over there. How do we change a key?
Oh, God, how long's a piece of string? In this instance, how we change the key, we've been in A. That's been governed by that 5th fret on the low E string. If we want to change the key, all of those notes now respond to, well, give me a fret between 1 and 12.
10.
10. I now take that scale and I play exactly the same notes from the 10th fret, and that therefore dictates that key. And this all links into the whole learn the notes on the fretboard, so you know, like when you said 10, I know that was D.
So, but then we can start experimenting. Everything doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be woke up this morning,
Different styles, yeah.
We all get the same 12 notes. What we choose to do with it is entirely
That's exactly it.
up to you, and that's really overwhelming for somebody.
It is. Blues is the best starting point because it's the backing is key. I think if you put in like a screamer, death metal backing track, they're going, and there's drums and bass and all sorts. Whereas blues, we can sit together and just. It's very forgiving, is what I'm looking for.
You can quite happily plod through it, and you don't have to be. You don't have to be picking super.
The changing the key thing is vital because you can get really comfortable in that one box, but changing a few frets, if anyone's looked at bar chords, it makes all the difference having less room to move. Muscle memory is key. That's why we're all here. That's why we can play. But being able to kick it up and move it about is massive. So in my lessons, I'll say, right, great, pick like I did with you. Pick me a number between 1 and 12. 2. Right. We then do it in F sharp.
So then, okay. So let's stay down there.
Okay.
So we've had as fifth lessons concluded. Got you playing, got the student playing a little bit further up the neck. There's some really good mileage that you can get out of playing in octaves, which is what we've got on the plan
next week?
for week 6.
What is an octave then?
So an octave is if you take a scale, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and you play it again, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. We describe that as the second octave. Now, the difference between the first A and the second A would sound something like this. But what that means is you could play a lick. There's 12 notes in music, so take that shape, add 12 frets to it. All of a sudden, the one lick has given you 2 different...
It's a new tonal possibility, I'd say. Just for an octave, it's the same notes, but higher in pitch.
And what I think is really cool is you can start almost playing call and response guitar licks with yourself.
Definitely.
You could go... Providing you remember what you've played.
It's remembering where you've played it if you're doing literal call and response. But everything starts again from the 12th fret. That's what you need to know before that, because is it the dusty end you call it?
Yes, the dusty end.
And because players don't really come up here, they get scared of heights, when actually there's nothing to worry about. Like you've just been in G there.
Yeah.
You think My Girl, if I take it to the 15th fret, it's exactly the same, just a higher pitch.
But like last night, we did our gig together, didn't we? Very seldomly, we were playing the same chords or the same licks in the same place.
Go for Wishing Well then, if you're getting on what I think you're getting on with.
So that's my riff.
So over the top I do. Same notes, one's higher, one's lower.
Now, that's a really good way for a band to just sort of thicken everything up a lot. But also, so twice a year we do gigs here at the school where we get students and we put them into bands. I don't want 4 guitar players playing the same thing. Now, we're going to get onto how that works with chords later on in another episode.
Okay.
But as lead guitar players, you hear some of those most iconic guitar parts. The Boys Are Back in Town, the solo for Hotel California, what we were doing there with some of the sort of free stuff. When there's more than one guitar piled on top of each other, they're either playing in a different octave from each other to thicken the sound up, or they're playing in harmony with each other.
Should we do the harmony one? Because that's what I was putting over the top.
Is that the second
intro?
One? Oh, the intro.
Yeah. 1, 2, 3.
Are you in E or are you in A?
That had that's Hotel California, Boys Are Back in Town,
Yeah.
a lot of Thin Lizzy stuff, Jailbreak and all that.
Well, Thin Lizzy were famous for having two lead guitar players.
And that's all we talk about, Thin
Yeah,
Lizzy.
we don't
do
talk
that.
about
We've done
Thin
that
Lizzy.
before.
We don't talk about Lizzy. No. Okay, so we've explored some octaves. You really feeling like, I've got this now. Where do we go from there?
Well, that's it. Before that, the benefit, put the backing track back on, and I'll say to a student, because they get comfortable, it's like, no, I'm here now, don't want to move. So, right, play it in G for a while. Let's say, can you give me that shuffle again, actually? So you're on my backing track. And I'll say, right, move it up. And that you just want to go up and down your octaves and get comfortable, because you can hear, I think, when you're down here, based on what you hear, will encourage you to play new licks. I don't know if you'd agree.
Yeah.
It's a different timbre, I think is the word.
It is a different timbre. Right, okay, so...
Have you had enough? What's going on?
What's the point of having loads of nice guitars if I'm not going to play them all?
Fair dues. That's what you tell your wife anyway, isn't it?
That's why they're all the same colour.
All the cases the same, is that one? All the cases are the
Couple
same.
of blue ones.
So
Couple of
that's
sunburst ones.
that's week 6, isn't it? Change the key. Oh no. Yeah, changing the key, changing the octave.
Changing the key was week 5.
Week 5. Oh.
And then the octave was week 6.
Detention for me. I need to come back and pay attention.
Right, so moving on to week 7 then. Whenever anybody looks at lessons online and they say, you'll see advertisements for companies that are like, learn amazing blues soloing with 3 notes and let's do this and do that and da-da-da-da-da. And they talk about targeting chord tones. What does that mean?
Chord tones, essentially, the backing James was playing for me and the backing I was playing for you, there are 3 chords within that. We'll get onto what those are in a sec, but essentially when you're improvising, you're hitting the note of what one of those chords are, and truth be told, it just sounds nice. It's a guaranteed win. We talk about all these notes in that scale, but if James is playing a G and I hit a G, it's going to sound nice, and it's moving along with that progression, isn't it?
Okay, let's distill that down a little bit. So let's say we're staying in G. So let's not worry about the 4 chords. Let's just stay with that G chord, okay? So a G chord, it's what we call a triad. A triad has 3 notes. We're just going to worry about the very first note of those, which is
the root note, G.
Which is the root note, which is a G. Now, when you're improvising, I'd sort of say, up to this point, we have just ignorantly meandered over backing tracks, and it sounds great, and you kind of hit a wall where it all kind of starts to sound the same.
Yes, definitely.
We need to sort of make a switch where we start thinking a little bit more intentionally about what we're playing.
Yeah, so that's the whole, it is improv, but it is calculated.
So guitarists, the problem with guitar is unlike any other instrument, because the way that the notes are laid out on the fretboard is in the most nonsensical way I've come across any instrument. Because essentially, you play a piano, and it's low down here, and it's high up here, and it incrementally gets higher, and it incrementally gets lower. It's all very linear and very straightforward. What makes guitar difficult is you have that linear fashion times 6.
Yeah.
And how can you start to find patterns? Well, how can you start to learn this without putting a student off?
Yeah, that's it, because eventually they'll go, actually, I understand this, thank you very much, can I play AC/DC now?
Yeah, and guitar's really, really easy to get an initial noise out of. But to get a deeper understanding of it, there's this grey area where you've got to learn a lot of music theory where you kind of go, I don't understand why I'm doing all this. And it's trying to map it all out. And what we're trying to do in giving you, start talking about chord tones is, we're starting to sort of try and put markers on the neck as to where these notes are. So instead of, if you've got that, we just, and I know we do the same thing, G minor pentatonic, play all
Straight
the licks.
away, yeah.
And then you kind of go, oh, right, okay, I need to stretch my legs a little bit. Oh, he's moved to a C chord now. What notes are in a C chord? C, E, and G.
Yeah.
Where are those on the fretboard? And to try and explain that to somebody up front is really daunting. So what happens is you scurry around on YouTube on various different. It's the magpie thing, isn't it? Because it's all for free. So you go over here and you'll go, oh, I'll learn a little bit of that. And I'll kind of go, oh, that's difficult. Oh, this guy says he can do it as well. I'll go over there. And you get half a tale 8 times from 8 different people, when actually all you needed to do was go F, G, A, and start and kind of go, learn that and get that in there. Then learn this. Bolt that onto it. And it's like Lego. You just keep sort of stacking it up one at a time. But when you're getting your information from too many sources, the pool gets too muddy, doesn't it?
Well, about sort of bringing it back down to earth for that sort
Tangent.
of thing. Yeah. Learn your octaves first, because I do this with bass players a lot. It's key for bass playing. But if you've got a G, like we keep mentioning, it's a favourite note of the day, I think. If you drop that down 2 strings and go across 2 frets, that's G. Now, if you only know the E string on the fretboard, well, you also now know the D string, because you can find, you hear they're all the same. So if you're playing a C and you think, well, there's C, and then I know that a D is going to be 2 frets away, and you start to bolt it on little by little, like Lego, exactly like you said. And from there, you do the same with your thirds and your fifths.
But by keeping it within that sort of 4 fret radius, this pentatonic block, you kind of go, right, okay, I've got 6 strings, I'm playing 2 notes on each string. So I've got 12 notes. Where is every G in that? Now, whatever position you're in,
They won't move.
It follows in the same pattern, but this is where patterns come together. Because like, oh yeah, I've got that. I've learnt notes on fretboard, James. Yeah, don't worry about it. It's like no. You've learnt 1 note. Yes. So how can we repeat that? Now, in an improvising context, I would say, right, here's a backing track in G. I want you to start and finish all of your phrases with this G note over here.
So actually, again, that's your root note. If the key is G and you play a G, winner.
It's like the safest thing you can ever do. So yes. Could you just give me something in G? Starting and finishing on G. Really, really safe. And I can sort of essentially, like how we had a lick, did some improvising, and then bookended it with another lick. You're almost sort of getting the start and the finish, and then everything else is improvised, but you haven't got enough time. There's not enough time. You're not committing yourself enough for it all to sort of fall apart unless you are actually playing the wrong notes.
You say commitment. I like to think by week 7, you're in now. You're invested. You're wanting to push forward and go on a little bit more. But that you playing all those notes, it's a safe bet. Doesn't mean that the other notes in the scale aren't going to work.
No,
it just sounds
it's certainty, isn't it?
It is.
Like
so
certainty.
If I knew I had 8 bars for a solo, lucky me, a lot of time, I'm most likely going to finish it on that G, if it's in G. However, you mentioned chord tones. If I know that all of a sudden, say a lot of Clapton stuff, Bad Love, there's a lot of changes in directions. If I know it was going to go to an E flat, say, I might finish on that E flat. And now that's you're learning from that song in particular.
Okay, so in this hypothetical song, you're going from a G major chord to an E flat, which is...
New change of direction, we'll go with that.
Yeah, definitely. Now, that chord doesn't fit with any of the other chords that fit in the key of G. And occasionally a songwriter, particularly the Beatles were really good at this, where they'll go, oh, we're just going to go over here because that's what we're doing now. Yeah. And they needed no other reason
John
to do
said
that.
so.
Yeah, that's it, exactly, right? If you know the notes of that chord, you can look at your fretboard really quickly and go, right, E flat, what's the first, the third, and the fifth notes? The arpeggio of E flat. And that's a really, because oftentimes when you throw in a real curveball like that, you don't hang around there for long. So you just need just enough to get you out of stuck. And those 3 notes in that arpeggio might be the same. Now, just before we jump on to week 8, I just want to sort of, that's great, we've learnt those G notes. But that's kind of, I feel like that's doing the same thing of learning the shapes. We've learnt where the G's are, but we've just learnt another pattern.
And that is the same for every scale.
Of course. Yeah. A, B, 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 etc. A fantastic exercise that everybody can try at home. Pick me a note. Pick a note.
C sharp.
C sharp. Okay, so I'm going to find a C sharp on every string. And I can work my way. You had to pick an awkward one, didn't you?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah?
I do this with students. I mention octaves a lot. I say how you can have, I'm going to go E because I've
But
chosen
can you see
myself.
what I did there? Sorry, I got cut off there. I cut myself off there, didn't I? But I go C sharp, right, okay, I found out on that string. On the next string, where is it? A, B flat, B, C, C sharp, right, got that one.
Or easier way to remember, if you know where your C's are, it's the one after C.
Yeah, but then you've got to learn where your C's are to get to that
But I'd
point.
like to think C sharp, you just said, oh, you picked an awkward one. Well, it's not. It's the same as the other frets. I say learn the dots. If you learn you've got G, A, B, well the one after B is C, the one before B is B flat because it's the one before B, and then if you learn these 3 dots, you've also learnt 2 either side of them.
So is that what students mean because students come in? It's very seldom we get somebody that comes to see us who has done no guitar whatsoever. Now, I've seen that change over the time that I've taught as the internet's kind of got more and more prevalent, particularly like COVID times when online learning and everybody kind of got on that.
You have someone who was just stringing a C chord together and they go, I've heard about this Locrian mode. What about that?
Well, yeah, and that's another thing. It's like, here's this really advanced thing and I've got 3 minutes left of my lesson. Can you explain it? I'm like, it don't work like that. No, sorry. But it's very rare that anybody comes to us completely green and we teach them every bit of information that they know. And a lot of people come in, particularly that can play a little bit, can strum through some songs and want to get into lead guitar and go, how do we... Media talks about unlocking the fretboard. What does that mean, unlocking the fretboard? Is that what you're talking about?
It's such a daunting task learning all the notes on the fret. Now, when we've been jamming today or whenever before we've played on this show, I don't know exactly what note I'm playing every time. No. But if you stop me and said, "What's that one?" I go, "Oh, that's C sharp." Well, right. There we go. I think that's what unlock it. It doesn't mean it comes naturally. You look at, say, Gary Moore shredding or something. He doesn't know exactly.
Yeah, he's not going A, B, C, D sharp. He's not.
That's what jazz musicians do. Yeah.
It's the old adage, isn't it? A rock guitar player plays 3 chords to 1,000 people, and a jazz guitar player.
Are you ready for week 8 then?
Go on then. Let's knock week 8 out.
Yes.
So, taking all that into consideration, we've started thinking intentionally.
Oh, no one's taking notes because you can have a sore hand in a minute.
They'll watch it. They'll be able to watch it next Sunday, won't they? But you've started thinking about, right, okay, that's a G. It's a B, that's a D. How can I implement those 3 notes of the triad, the 3 notes that make any chord? How can I start to, like, 'cause we've established the root note.
Yes.
But what do the others sound like? Do the others, the third is people talk about emotive guitar playing. You think of something like Still Got the Blues or Parisian Walkways, where Gary Moore's hitting all the right notes at just the right time to really make everybody feel it. And it's because he's hitting the third of the chord. And what that is the third note in a chord is what makes it sound happy or sad.
Well, yeah, we're talking about major thirds, minor thirds.
Yeah.
Major third. Think what the Beatles are singing in Twist and Shout when they're screaming. Twist and Shout was written on a bad day. Can you hear? It's not as jolly. And that's the difference. The sounds you were talking about.
And you can definitely hear that. Like songs like Don't Look Back in Anger show that really well, where it'll go from an F chord to an F minor. And
it's lovely.
One note, there's just one finger.
Now, a lot of people think...
it completely changes the overall vibe of the entire song. Now, if you don't know what's going on there, because what will happen is I'll hear that in a song and go, oh, yeah, they're just moving.
They're missing a note. No, you're just changing it. I have this a lot. You say, even just normal E major, if you take your finger off that, you say, it's gone, you've taken the finger off. No, you're changing this note to this note. Mm-hmm. It's not going away. It's conservation of mass, isn't it?
But like, if you do that in a blues kind of setting, playing that third note of the scale.
Well, it's that emotion. That's what the blues are about.
But all of a sudden, that's so different from...
Now, both have their pros and cons. They both have merits to themselves. But you need to know them all to get the bigger picture. That's what Stevie Ray Vaughan's doing, Gary Moore's doing.
So what about the fifth? Why do we have the fifth? What does that sound like?
Fifth works.
If the root's safe, the third's like the money shot. If you've got one note to play and it's your last note on earth, the major or the minor third of the chord is the one to play. What functions the fifth?
Fifth is another safe bet. It's what we refer to as the perfect fifth. I'm sure you've heard that tossed around before.
Yeah, Landon Cohen says that it goes like this: the fourth, the fifth, the minor fourth, the major lift. He's talking about the sequence of chords within the song.
Yeah, so the fifth, I always describe it sounding quite Roman, quite noble.
Right, okay.
That is your power chord. If you want to find a fifth, if you can play your power chords, what your ring finger's doing or your pinky, that is your fifth, your perfect fifth. That will never change. Your third will change, whether it's a major or a minor, but your fifth will stay the same the whole time. And that will work. You can add those in and they sound, just gives it a harsher edge, a rockier edge, I'd say.
So at this point, you are practicing playing over a backing track, preferably of just one chord.
Yep.
To practice this. And you're going, right, okay, I'm going to play some licks and I'm going to start either start or finish or both on a particular note.
Yeah.
And I'm going to see how that sounds. And you'll do this with the root, the third, the fifth. And then you'll start kind of going, right, okay, I'm going to start branching out of the minor pentatonic scale or the major pentatonic, whatever you're using. You start kind of getting up into more alien parts of the fretboard that you're not as familiar with as this. and go, right, where's my safety net? Because I'm getting out in the weeds here, and how can I, like, where's the nearest G to me here? Oh, it's here. Or here. You know, it's finding, it's knowing, you go out into the weeds and you know that there's a net somewhere that you can catch you if it all goes a little bit wonky. Like we played Jessica earlier, didn't we? Right, so how I tend to use notes looking at the fretboard, I'm not thinking what those notes are. And it'd take me a minute to tell you what they are. I know that that's an A arpeggio. And I'm playing around this D figure shape, around this arpeggio shape that I've learned previously. When we go into the climb, I know that my first note needs to be an A.
Yes.
Now, rather than me remembering, it needs to be the 12th fret of the A string, because that's not definite information.
Yeah, it's not.
There's two pieces of information there which I can distill into one, isn't there? I need to find an A, particularly that one, and that's a lot easier for me when I'm at another point in the neck and I'm going up to the dusty end and I'm looking for it, and I'm it's that marker of. It's almost like a landing pad, isn't it? It's like that's where I need to now to finish up. Now, in that whole sequence, that A note is the only note in the tabs. I'm thinking of it all as sort of numbers up to that point, simply because that's, if there's one that you're going to drop, that's not the one to drop.
No,
is it?
No, it's, as you said, it's your land. A is A. If you're in the key of A, A is A. G. It's your root note. Main take home is your root notes.
Okay, so how can the people watching today implement some of these tips in their own playing?
Because it depends where you are. If you're at week 1, you've got to start and do it properly. You can't just think, oh, I like the sound of those. I'd argue that you need to know why you can do that.
Okay.
I'd say it depends where you are. Sort of make a grown-up decision and go, I like the sound of that, but I don't know what a scale is. Right, learn a scale. I can play riffs, great. I want to do that forever, but I don't know what a third and a fifth is. Take those lessons and sort of do it properly, because we teach so many students that have cut corners, and that's why they come to us, because they want to glue it all together. And that's fine, that's okay.
I think it's worth reiterating, though, like, I managed to get a degree in music, and I cut some corners, and I had to go back and fill all those holes in. I don't think anybody's journey is linear. I think there's this constant, oh, I need to go and look at that, and you'll spend a couple of weeks filling that hole in, and then you'll carry on and you go, oh, I don't really know that as well as I probably should. Right, I'll go sort that out. And it's very, like, no journey is just one straight line up, is it? No. It's very kind of jagged.
Well, it depends on your own circumstances. A lot of people in the community will have a really good couple of months learning guitar. All of a sudden they think, I don't want to play it. And I want to throw this out the window sometimes, because that's what it's about. And then you come back to it and you love it again. And that's where your progress is made.
And I think as well, it's like it's knowing how deep you want to go down the hole. Like, if you're getting to this sort of week 8 stuff and you're like, yeah, I really want to understand the fretboard, and I really want to get all of this, because I need to understand the mechanics of it. I need to understand how it works. Great. You go. But some people would just be grateful to be able to pick a guitar up and make it talk.
That's fine, yeah.
And that's okay as well. Just because we've gone so far down this sort of 8-step process doesn't necessarily mean you might get to step 4 and go, do you know what? That's just enough for me. I'm going to carry on. I'm just going to go back to playing cowboy chords now for a little bit, and I can do a little bit of improv when I needed. That point, I stayed for years. It was only really kind of as an adult where I've come back to guitar and I've gone, yeah, I should probably learn a little bit more about this, rather than just relying on memorized shapes. Because then when you do get thrown an E flat chord when the rest of it's in G, you kind of go, oh, what do I do? Help me. And it's me being thrown into those situations that sort of made me look at it. But the hole's as deep as you make it. Guitar is always, the further you go down the rabbit hole, the deeper it goes. And some people get to a certain point and they go, that's it.
Psychologist Dr. Kuhnel there.
No, but it's right though.
Yeah,
it's right though. And I think
a
lot of media tells you that you know that you don't know this and you don't know that and you're not good enough. And it's kind of like, but on whose definition?
True.
That's really important.
And you're always your own biggest critic, aren't you?
Yeah. Right. I think on that note,
that's 8 weeks of improv.
8 weeks of improvisation.
Which is never that simple.
No, and I think it's a little bit of a far-fetched title.
It is, but we want clicks.
We do.
We just want repeat business, as one delightful commenter commented.
Oh, I love YouTube. People just get so annoyed at us for no reason whatsoever. It's like, you've had a bad day.
You send them kisses emojis, don't
you?
I
do, yeah. Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Right, so we've just got blues jam.
Blues jam. This is where we started, back to our roots.
Yeah.
We finish the show and just sort of go and just jam. And I think it ties in. It's the most apt jam for the end of the show. Now, do we want to add the theme tune in at the end as well? I don't mind putting the chords in on whatever key we decide to go in.
Can you do it off the fly that quick?
What key are we going in?
Okay. What key are we in? Sean, what key are we in?
Any key.
C. Oh, we'll go C sharp. We'll go C sharp. So what are the keys going to? So what's the end going to be in C sharp?
Well, thank you very much for watching, everyone.
So what are your chords going to be? Have you got your chords for that?
I'm just going to go for a 1-4-5.
Right. Okay. Thank you very much.